Hello everyone, welcome back to Collins Code. Today we're going to be talking about headless CMSs and the advantages of having a headless CMS or a headless application compared to a monolithic application. So a headless CMS is a content management system that is just for backend data. So when developing a website, a headless CMS actually just handles all the data that is in the backend, and a separate front-end application is actually developed. Now, there's a bunch of advantages of this, and there are some disadvantages, but mostly advantages. So I looked up this article. It's by Storyblock, so it's a little bit of it has a little bit of a bias towards the Storyblock backend CMS, but it is really good and it gives a great overview of it. So if we look at some of these diagrams here, this one's describing exactly how the regular like a WordPress monolithic CMS would be. So with WordPress, there's an admin interface. We have the database that's holding all the data in the backend, and then we have our view layer. So that's our front end. So they're all coupled together in that monolithic approach. Now, if we look at a headless CMS, we have the admin interface, which writes and reads from the API. There's custom integrations. The database is holding all the data for the API, and then you're going to be able to read with your own site or any application, Python app, whatever it is, iOS apps, Androids, e-commerce, just a normal website. So there's definitely way more advantages for having a headless CMS because let's say you create a headless CMS and you want a web application and you want an iOS application. Therefore, both of those applications can use that API to obtain that data. So the use cases for a headless CMS, build a website with a technology you're familiar with, web apps that use JavaScript frameworks, Vue, React, Angular, native mobile apps like iOS apps, Windows phones, Android, e-commerce sites, and then websites that have static site generators. Now, the headless CMS is great for if you have multiple developers working. So, the front-end developer doesn't have to worry about what's going on in the back end with your headless integration. So, a bug on the back end doesn't have to be coupled with a bug on the front end, and the developer it makes it easier for developers to actually work on a website and create a good application. So there are a bunch of different headless CMSs. Here's a couple of them: Storyblock, Contentful, Primsix, Sanity, and then here they're talking about CMSs that are monolithic, like Drupal and WordPress. We're working with Drupal right now, but Drupal has integration where you can actually put the JSON API like we did in class, so you can actually obtain information from your Drupal site as like a backend server, basically. So there is extensions. WordPress also has that extensions or plugins where you can add API compatibility for the backend. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for headless CMSs and why they're a lot better than having just monolithic applications. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week.